Welcome everyone to the second edition of the characters with the greatest aura in anime. The first thing I want to do is thank you all for the support you gave to the first episode of the series. I know you love these old school series on the channel, and that's why I'm going to tell you yes. If this edition reaches 10,000 likes, a figure I'm sure you can achieve without any problem, I will immediately start working on the 6th edition of the biggest anime sellouts. It's been ages since a new episode came out. But getting back to the topic at hand today, while in the first edition I gave a rough definition of what I consider to be a character with aura. In that very video I received a comment that I really liked, giving a clearer and more concise description of what it means to have aura, and it will help us save time and understand it. In short, as the description said, aura is presence. Aura is when you step into a place and everyone looks at you, fears or admires you. As I like to say to a good listener, few words are enough. And in this case, I think it's more than clear the type of characters that will appear in this video and why. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, join me once again in the exciting world of the most aura farmers characters in the manga anime world. But first, would you like to have your Crunchyroll account for only $10 a year? Yes, you heard right. From $10 a year at ggpig.com, you will find Crunchyroll accounts with a subscription for a full year starting from only $10. Watch hundreds of uninterrupted ad-free animes like One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Solo Leveling, or Vinland Saga with this service. Just kidding, but yes, you will be able to watch all these animes and more. You just have to go to the link in the description or the pinned comment and buy it following the steps you see on screen right now. It's super easy and you can't go wrong. And since you all look like good people, I'm giving you an extra 15% discount if you apply the Beals code during your purchase. Many thanks to GGPIC for sponsoring the channel, and now let's farm a little bit of aura. Number 1. Piccolo. If I didn't bring out Chad Piccolo in the second edition of the series, were you going to send a nuclear bomb to my house? Like this, very essential. You flooded the comments of the previous chapter asking me, no, demanding that I bring out Piccolo in the next part. I understand, but I had always intended to feature Piccolo in this edition. I also tell you Piccolo could perfectly be considered by everyone as the chief executive officer of Laura in the world of manga anime. The character has sometimes gone too far in their actions. Piccolo's personality is the definition of someone doomed to have aura wherever he goes. Even though he's not a Saiyan, that hasn't stopped our green friend from being the guy with the most aura in Dragon Ball. And that's hard considering competitors like Super Saiyan Goku, Grand Tourist 4, among others, which we will talk about in future editions. It doesn't matter if we go to the canon content or the non-canon content, Piccolo is always there, farming aura like a madman. In the Toei animation OVAs, he was often seen on stage in full view, impassive with his cape fluttering in the wind, emanating an aura like a god. A great example of Piccolo's performance and aura is in the first Cooler movie. He has a very distinct presence, and that is, unlike characters like Gohan or Vegeta, who need to have superiority over their opponent, to act tough, this doesn't happen with Piccolo. Piccolo simply needs to relatively match the powers of his opponent to feel superior. This has clearly happened twice. The first was against Freezer. In Freezer's second form, he had powers similar to those of Piccolo, fused with Nail. Another aura farmer arrived. Piccolo showed up with such confidence that it seemed like he was going to defeat Freezer easily. And it's that Piccolo, although he doesn't boast when he's strong, you do sense it. This obviously due to his aura and non-verbal language. Another great example is when he fused with Kami-sama and fought against number 17, one of my favorite battles in the series, not only for being epic and spectacular, but also for having a hidden underlying meaning. Considering these were the androids from the future who killed Gohan adds a layer of depth to the story, which may have been planned or not, but honestly for me, it adds a little point. The fact is that Piccolo in this fight in fact was at a disadvantage because his opponent 17 cannot get tired regardless of the circumstances. Still, Piccolo did not back down. He looked at Chad with an impressive aura that left the androids perplexed and foolish. Finally, to not be all day with Piccolo, I'm going to mention the most recent thing we have from the character, which is the superhero movie where Piccolo acquires his new forms. In this case, when Piccolo turns really damn orange. His aura is only matched by his companion's doctrines. And let's not even talk about when Gamma goes to hit him in the purest Armstrong style from Metal Gear Rising. Another chat, by the way, withstands the whole rain of blows without moving, and when Gamma finishes hitting him, Piccolo looks at him like, "No, are you done yet?" Nah, simply Piccolo, deity, no matter how much time passes. He will always be one of the GOATs of the franchise and will always have the honorable title of being the character with the most aura in his work. Number 2, Black War Greymon Digimon Adventure 02 is without a doubt the most accident-prone Digimon anime. Production problems, direction problems, script problems, and 1,000 more problems that made this story more of a chimera of senseless patches and a random bullshit go than a structured story. But despite this, we're talking about Digimon. Despite its flaws, this anime had some great moments, reaching high-quality peaks with certain plots and characters. Exactly. Today we are going to focus on a specific character from this anime to talk in terms of having aura in the Digimon franchise. There are dozens and dozens of Digimon that we could consider to have aura. Beelzemon, Angemon, Lucemon, Fallen Mode, Omegamon with all its variants, Susanomon, Alphamon, Dukamon, Bancoleomon, Myotismon, among many others. For this video, I have decided to stick with Black War Greymon from Adventure 02 because the truth is, he is one of my favorite characters for his personality, background, lore, and evolution. Aside from having a fearsome and powerful aura as the video will naturally possess, I'm not going to focus on the character analysis section and we'll talk about his feats, demonstrations, and in general why he made such an aura. To start, I know that many in the audience will have seen the Invincible series. Well, in the first season, in a totally random and rushed way, the protagonist fights against a character named Battle Beast. Or as I call him, Bebe. Bebe defeats Invincible without any problems. And this is not so strange, since in the first seasons, everyone beats the hell out of Invincible. What we series only didn't know is that Bebe is one of the most powerful characters in the series. Able to rival the strongest with ease, being significantly stronger than Omni-Man. Basically, there's a meme that Invincible was given a global top when he was just coming out of bronze. In Digimon, this would be the equivalent of Black War, which I will call him from now on, so as not to say his huge full name. All the time. He appeared in a part of the plot where the protagonists were not only not ready to fight against an ultimate level Digimon, but also specifically Black War has a level higher than more conventional and common ultimates can have. I don't know, maybe Metal Sidramon, Metal Garurumon, Imperial Drum & Dragon Mode, War Greymon, and others. But let's start at the beginning. In its creation, Black War was born from the data of Arukerimon with 100 control spires. Such was its power that everything trembled as it was being created due to its amount of dark energy. A giant shadow heralds the arrival of this Digimon during its creation. This is not just for aesthetics. This indicates that if he had wanted to, Black War could have manifested himself the size of a mountain of considerable massiveness. As we see, since that is the extent of his data, he chose to have the size he had in the end by his own choice. Many people are unaware that Digimon can modify their size to some degree at will depending on their data amount. At his birth, only with his aura, and never better said, he knocked out Nefertimon and Pegasusmon, who in theory had a huge advantage due to their sacred power. When the main Digimon saw him, they literally started to tremble with fear. The son of a bitch had so much aura that his creator falls in love with him, describing him as charming or attractive, depending on the translation from the perspective of a Digimon. In Black War, the antagonist easily overpowered the protagonist but spared their lives. He didn't consider it worthwhile to dirty his hands with weak enemies and told his creators the same. Keep in mind that even Pahildramon, a very strong Digimon for Black War, didn't even amount to a fly to warm up. The guy reaches a point where he literally gets depressed because he doesn't feel satisfied when facing Digimon. Strong, since they all fall with one blow. Later, just by flying, he disintegrated a Nightmon, which has a body completely made of Chrondigizoid and extremely resistant metal. He beats the protagonist again as it was becoming a habit. Even with the help of Holy Angemon or Magna Angemon, they were powerless against him. Magna Angemon in Adventure was able to give quite a fight to Piedmon, the strongest Dark Master, but here he couldn't even do anything against Black War, who still considered him just any monkey. He humiliated not only his counterpart, Tide's War Greymon, but also fought alongside Imperial Dramon Fighter Mode, an ultimate level Digimon somewhat more advanced than Tide's War Greymon. The fight ends with the protagonists in BB Stage and Black War, revealing this information. Despite fatigue, he stays conscious in his ultimate form, still capable of killing them if desired. But as he was always a Chad at heart, he left it as a technical draw. The only way they had to kill him and get him out of the way so he wouldn't interfere in the final fight was to receive a surprise attack from the final villain. When, in terms of power scaling, it turns out that Black War was just shy of the levels of the final boss, thus understanding that they had to remove him by any means necessary. In his sacrifice, his amount of data was large enough to supplant the dimensional barrier. Or in other words, had he been in the first season, would he have had more data than Apocalypse, the final villain? So he could have stabilized the digital world, and thus Apocalypse would not have been a threat to the digital world, at least in terms of existence. Which surely would have helped him to calm down, perhaps. And in the end, this chat put all the chosen children, both the old and the new ones, in check. And besides, he was only eliminated by a surprise attack as he was too fat to fit into the plot. Simply my fucking goat! Number 3, Aaron Tide. The Boxer is a webtoon that can be read legally and completely free on the page of the same name. The story follows the life of a boy named Yu who, without wanting to give too many spoilers, it's not that he's a boxing prodigy. In this manhwa, there are many boxing prodigies and several world champions. But this is not the case with Yu because he is not a prodigy but a monster. A human being, if he can be called that, an exceptional human being, 1 in a billion. A guy who makes professional boxers, world champions with incomparable talent look like miserable amateur worms. Now you might be asking yourselves, but Belchi, if you said earlier that you were going to talk about a certain Aaron Tide, why are you talking to us about you? It's absolutely necessary that before I talk to you about Aaron Tide, I talk about the context of the work, as it will be important to understand the impact that Mr. Tide has on the work. From here on, there will be major spoilers about the Boxer. If you want to follow my advice, I recommend reading it on your own. I will be leaving a link in the description. This is one of my all-time favorite works, undoubtedly entering my top 5 or maybe even higher. For those of you who are still not convinced, I am a fervent believer that sometimes a spoiler can be a good thing to attract new users to certain works or products. Let's discuss Aaron Tide, the heavyweight champion in the world of the Boxer. He could be considered the strongest character in the rivals he is going to face, Yu. The thing is that this doesn't seem to matter much, since anyway, Yu. Throughout the work, he faces not one but several world champions from different categories whom he crushes without any kind of effort. Yu never had a real fight, he simply dedicated himself to crushing his opponents one by one without any mercy. At this point, Yu feels like someone completely invincible, but this is where good old Aaron Tide comes into play. Despite being an exceptional person, good, kind, loving with his family, and a human being with a big, kind heart, it turns out that Aaron hides a little secret. And that is, he is also a monster of the same size as Yu, at least in physical abilities. This made it the first time in the work and the first time in Yu's life. He could not defeat a rival who presented himself as absolutely invincible before him. An insurmountable wall. In fact, to put us in context, this happens as soon as the fight starts at this very moment. Not only is it the first time someone has taken a serious direct hit to Yu's face, but it also had no effect on Aaron Tide. At that moment, only there Yu realized that he was not fighting another human being, but he was fighting a monster. One that might even be more fearsome than him. Aaron has a supreme aura. He, since he is a child, is practically a superhuman, so he acts accordingly. He feels that everyone around him is fragile in front of him. And not in an edgy, cringe, or conceited way, but in an empathetic way and with a sense of guilt. He, aware of his abilities, does not enjoy hurting others, just like he never enjoyed boxing. The only reason he boxed was because he simply felt as if God himself had forced him to be that monster, writing his path in stone and giving him absolutely superhuman strength. I'll confess, I've invited Aaron here to encourage more people to read about Boxer while also leveraging the high viewership of my YouTube anime series. To me, Aaron exudes the aura of, let's say, a hacked video game character who doesn't go around acting cool. You know, and he knows that if he wants to, he can break you in half at any moment. And that, friends, in some instinctive way in our animal mind is noticeable Aaron Tide, my role model in life. And here we come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. Remember to support the series if you want more editions and the biggest anime sellouts to continue. I'm counting on you. Many thanks to GGPIC for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check out their prices on Crunchyroll accounts and use the Bills code and the link in the description for more discount. And see you in Ciao.